Hi, everybody. It's Lee Caraher, and this is Everything Speaks, where we talk about everything in communications, from PR to internal comms to statements to how to talk to your friends and how to give a TED Talk. And why is it called Everything Speaks? Because everything you do and say speaks for you if you want it to or not. And more importantly, the things that you don't do and don't say speak for you louder. I got some other questions from an episode a few times ago, so I'm going to keep moving on the questions that I got on that to answer them regarding the concept of over-explaining, or how to explain something simply enough so people understand it. And in the working out of what to say, often what I will hear from somebody is, I think we're over-explaining this. And sometimes that's true, but most of the time, you're not ever explaining, you're under deciding. And here's that decision thing one more time. Because when the decision is clear, the explanation is simple. You can explain it quickly when you know what the decision is. So when the decision is clear, the explanation is simple. We got to do everything we can to make that clear decision that then leads to the simple explanation. Because when the decision is fuzzy, if then that, or caveat emptor, or I don't know, or whatever it is, the explanation gets really long, and you add context and you add qualifiers and you try to cover every angle. And before you know it, what should have been 2 sentences turns into 2 pages. Raise your hand if you've been there. Raising my hand. And here's what people should do when that happens. They don't read it. They start interpreting. They start filling in the gaps. They start like, why is this so long? What's between the lines? And now you've got 5 different versions of what you meant because it was so long with so many qualifiers and so much context and so much caveat emptors. And we accidentally create confusion while we're trying to avoid it because we didn't decide better. We didn't get clarity at the beginning of the decision of what it is we are doing. People sometimes think more words equals more clarity. I said this before. I'll say it again. I believe it was, I'm going to forget the name of the person, but it's going to come to me. Walt Whitman said, "I'm sorry I wrote you such a long letter. I didn't have time to edit it." I'm sorry I wrote you such a long letter. I didn't have time to edit it. More words do not equal more clarity. Usually more words mean more confusion because that message reflects the decision behind it. If the decision is clean, what happened, where we're doing, what it means, you can say it clearly. If the decision isn't clear or clean, you start explaining it. This is where things get dangerous, right? And depending on what you're talking about, are we talking about like a pencil dangerous, or are we talking about like life dangerous? But still, over-explaining doesn't just confuse people. It creates suspicion. Like, what are they hiding? Why is it so long? What are they trying not to say? What's buried in there? Right? What's the small print? And then you've got a trust problem on top of a clarity problem. And we've all seen this. Oh my gosh, there are very few of us who haven't created that situation or be on the receiving end of that situation. And when that happens, people draw their own conclusion, and it draws more attention to the fact that you didn't make a clear decision to start with. That's not a communication problem. That's a decision problem that you tried to manage with language, and that language didn't carry weight because the decision wasn't done and it wasn't clean and it wasn't clear. So here's the shift I want everybody to make. Before you write anything, internal or external, you got to ask the question, what's the decision? Not the context, not the nuance, not the background. What's the decision? Because once you're clear on that, the message gets shorter, stronger, easy to understand, and easier to trust, which is what we're trying to do. Point of communication is to stop it because everyone gets it. So if your communication feels long, don't start editing, start deciding. And that's all I have to say today. All right. Until next time, I'm Lee Caraher, and this is Everything Speaks.